Bill Maher battling Hollywood director Rob Reiner over civility in America. Watch here.
This would make some sense for the Democrats if they had any power. But the idea of we don't talk to you when we don't even have the power, of course you have to talk to people.
Before you have the exchange, you have to agree on certain facts.
No, you don't.
If somebody says 2 + 2 is 4 and the other guy says, no, it's not, how do you begin the discussion?
Because Rob, that's a slippery slope. If you start down that road of I can't talk to you if you believe this crazy thing, because maybe
So
you
let's
just
say
can't.
I just wonder what sort of world then or country Rob Reiner imagines.
Well, it's weird. The 2 + 2 = 5 thing is a woke construct about math not being racist. So I don't know where he gets that from. The refusal to talk to people is born from a cognitive dissonance. If his beliefs get refuted by reality, he has to start rationalizing. And his rationalization there is, I don't need to talk to those people who might prove me wrong because we need to agree on something wrong first. So that kind of keeps him from having to debate. But as we know, when you remove debate, what was debate replacing? It was replacing violence. So what do you hope to put in place? Do you want just pure segregation where we just go our separate ways and never speak? Or do we settle things the old-fashioned way, shooting somebody?
And Jesse, like if you're not talking to the other side, you're just talking to yourselves, and that's a sure way to lose.
Well, they are talking to themselves out in California. That's all they talk to, is other liberals. I'm watching two liberals debate on whether to talk to me or not. This is the stupidest conversation I've ever heard. Permission to make an analogy?
Sure, got
It's
it.
like the Democrats are a guy who only shoots jump shots, and they only play by themselves. Yeah, they can knock down a few shots alone, and then some Republican comes up and you want to play one-on-one, and they don't want to play. And then when they try to play, they can't defend, they can't dribble, they're out of shape, and that's what this is about. They're afraid to play us because they're going to lose. If they debate these ideas, their ideas are dumb, and we're going to wipe the floor with them. They know it, we know it, so they run away with the ball.
Harold, how do you feel about that analogy? I thought it was pretty good.
Anytime, anywhere. We can. A couple of things. First thing is you have to, I agree with you 100%. You have to talk to make progress. The person whose life we celebrated this last weekend, he lived by that motto. Two, Greg, you're right. When you run out of ideas, any party runs out of ideas, and this time it's Democrats. It don't say never and ever in American politics. There's always shifts, and Democrats will see themselves back in power, but not until they come up with new ideas. You also, to your point, I thought the most important point you made in a few weeks for Democrats to listen to, and for everybody in politics. Just because you disagree with someone and you think that someone is wrong on a policy issue, that doesn't make them a fascist. There's no need to name call people, because I happen to think that President Trump was wrong to cancel a meeting today with Democrats, not inviting them to the White House. Democrats want Republicans in the House and Senate, I think, to extend some of the Obamacare insurance because premiums are going to go up on health care, and Republicans don't want to. I don't think the Republicans are fascists or Hitler because they don't want to do that. I just think they're wrong. I think my policy idea is better. If we don't talk to people, you can't get. So I was pleased to see Bill Maher, and I know them both. I was pleased to see Bill Maher say exactly what he said to Mr. Reiner there.
Emily, I've been around in Republican politics for quite a long time. I don't remember him ever talking to Republicans. I don't know when that was, when he's thinking about that good old time. Was he talking to Tom DeLay?
Totally. I felt also that there was a disconnect in their conversation. And I think Bill Maher was describing having a conversation with someone of the other side, like an actual, truly a conversation like we model. But Rob Reiner, I think, was trying to get them to agree. Because he wasn't, like, they weren't talking about the same entity. He was talking about having the ability to come to an agreement. Because a conversation, if Rob was having a conversation, then he would, echo that Palestinian influencer of, oh, carjackings, no one cares. But it's like, well, the Yar family cares. The Yar family cares because it was their father who was an Afghan interpreter and moved then to Philly through no help from the United States, by the way. But then at Philly was robbed at gunpoint, and so then moved to Washington, D.C., where he was then carjacked by a 15-year-old and killed. Right. That's the kind of thing that maybe then his 2 + 2 = 5 would see, that it's 2 + 2 = 4, and that's what we've been saying the whole time. But I think people like that, the whole point is that's the problem, because they would never even entertain to have a conversation with people like us.
Oh, Emily, all right. I like it.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.